let's talk about how we're all doomed, shall we? Let's just jump right into how we're all doomed. Mark Levin, Mr. Producer, and we're there. Listen here. Um, the man who shakes with anger even when he's happy, Mark Levin, ladies and gentlemen, if I do say so my damn self, very upset, Mr. Producer. Come on now, come on. And I bet should be his new character. Come on, Mr. Producer, come on. All right, I'll play the clip. Calm down. It's my show, goddammit. I've been on the air 5 hours today already. Okay, here we go. Now, Iranian ransom. This is the whole, like, we dropped some sanctions to let a million barrels a day of oil back in from Iran to get some of our people back, and at the same time undercut the Russians, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. But he'll tell us the whole story. I have no doubt. Here we go.
And the Biden administration hates Netanyahu the way they hate Trump, the way they hate DeSantis, the way...
What? They hate Netanyahu? Hey, asshat. Trump hates Netanyahu.
They hate anybody who doesn't agree with them.
Why is it so fucking quiet? What a dump. Turn this all the way up. And then I got to bring this part of it up. Jesus fucking Christ. I didn't even want to hear this asshole in the first place. And then I got to worry about him being quiet.
Because these are very sick bastards.
These are sick bastards. They're sick. Sick. I'm sick of your ass faces.
Joe Biden has actually sided with the Iranians in many respects.
In many respects. Yeah, he's big on the whole, like, women shouldn't go outside without their hair covered, or maybe siding with the ones who think they should be able to. Which Iranians are we talking about? Also, why are you wearing a weird globe on your chest? Or is that it looks like a man walking, let me guess, it's a military button of some sort that we're supposed to think you've got some sort of extra big testicles because you're wearing somebody else's pin.
Gave them $6 billion. South Korea, he told them to release $6 billion to Iran.
I see. So he told South Korea to release $6 billion to Iran. $6 billion that is Iranian and that is being held by the South Koreans. And
he does that, and within 48 hours, the Iranians are surrounding 4,000 of our naval personnel on one of our ships with hundreds of drones and their speedboats.
Within hours of it. Why did they think they were picking it up from that boat? Or are you off by months?
This constant appeasement and sell it to Iran is going to create a war between Israel and Iran.
Why?
Which will be a very, very devastating war.
Great. Okay, cool. Well, you let us know when that shit gears up and gets past the normal level of these fuckers hate each other sometime soon.
Iran is going to be able to hit all these major cities in Israel with drone technology, which it got from us.
What? No, they didn't. And also, no, they won't. The Iron Dome is particularly good at hitting that shit. What are you talking about? They didn't get that much better.
It started with one of our big, most sophisticated, technologically advanced drones that they shot down or crashed in their territory, and they have reversed engineered it, and they've been off to the races ever since.
One moment, please. Let's see. Let me try to find the. Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. So, what he's talking about. Let's start out with this. I think this is what he's discussing. I don't think he knows what he's discussing, but it's disgusting as we talk about it. Here we go. This is the drone system he's talking about. In 2011, shrink down, stupid. Why would I shrink the okay, there we go. In the aftermath of the Iran capture of a U.S. military drone earlier this month, now come arguments about how Iran managed to pull it off. An Iranian engineer's exclusive interview with the Christian Science Monitor has been published, which details how the Iranians captured the drone through jamming. An opposing camp says the story is just that, a story, while others schooled in GPS systems say the Iranians' technique is technically possible, but they would not bet on it. Iran's story about the electronic ambush, it crashed. This is in 2011. It crashed. So, whatever. Anyways, the RQ-170 Sentinel is that their expert used the technology savvy to trick the drone into landing where the drone thought it was an actual base in Afghanistan, but instead they made it land in Iran. They used reverse engineering techniques, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is 2011. How it might have happened, all that kind of shit. Meanwhile, what's the Biden administration doing about this? Well, on the one hand, hold on, get out of here. This is from a year ago. Iran forced to return U.S. sail drones seized at sea for a second time. U.S. defense officials say Iranian Navy warship had pulled 2 sail drones out of the water and covered them with tarps. U.S. is for the second time this week compelled Iran to release U.S. military sail drones that it tried to seize at sea. U.S. military has not officially commented on the incident, but a U.S. defense official speaking on condition of anonymity suggested the Iranians had sought to secretly seize the drones. No shit. Yeah, here you go. U.S. Navy intervenes after Iran seizes American sea drones. These are, little sailing spy vessels, essentially. Now, most of us think about flying drones. Some of it is this. That said, here's the other part of the story. Okay, this is the part that probably has, been digging at Levin for a while. Biden task force investigating how U.S. tech ends up in Iranian attack drones used against Ukraine. The Biden administration has launched an expansive task force to investigate how U.S. and Western components, including American-made microelectronics, are ending up in Iranian-made drones. In Iranian-made drones, Russia is launching by the hundreds into Ukraine. Multiple officials familiar with the effort tell CNN. The U.S. has imposed tough export control restrictions and sanctions to prevent Iran from obtaining high-end materials, but evidence has emerged that suggests Iran is finding an abundance of commercially available technology. That's right, because these days, consumer electronics are so much further ahead than anything that was available 30 years ago, and that was already plenty. Last month, the UK-based investigative organization Conflict Armament Research examined several drones that had been downed in Ukraine and found that 82% of their components were manufactured by companies based in the U.S. Now, that's the difference, too. Companies based in the U.S. That's a very big difference between, like, stuff made in the U.S. and brought over there. And point of fact, quite frankly, a lot of the shit either comes from stuff sold on the open market that people just repurpose, or China diverting some of this shit from their factories where they have a surplus to these companies. Among the components found in some of the drones are processors built by the Dallas-based technology company Texas Instruments. Yes, there's a bunch of trash 80 components in these. Yes, that's right. And most of you are thinking like, oh shit, a TRS-80 these days, because you could probably use that as a base to build something that flies around and references a point and flies to the point it's referencing, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Source of U.S. inquiry, as well as an engine made by an Austrian firm owned by Canada's Bombardier Recreation Products. Both companies have condemned any use of their technologies for illicit purposes. Their apparently unintentional ensnarement in Iran's drone manufacturing industry underscores how inexpensive products intended for civilian use can be easily retrofitted for military purposes and often fall just outside the bounds of sanctions and export control regimes. Again, consumer electronics and toys and the like are all plenty advanced to do this kind of shit. There are toys on the market that the Dr. Evils of the 70s and 80s that James Bond was dealing with would have murdered people to get them. And to us, they're toy drones. But again, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Selling them, if not giving them to the Russians to use against the Iranian people.
Selling.
They're easy to make once you figure out how to make them, and they.
Mm-hmm. And you Ukrainians are taking them down before they even leave the ground with cardboard drones. Please continue.
All that from us, and they can make them very quickly. Obviously, they're just machines. There aren't people who are flying these things, physically flying each one of these things, and they can strike at long distances.
Yeah, but they also sound like a scooter, and you can hear them from miles away. And even though the technology that they allegedly got from us from the crashed one would be relatively silent, for some fucking reason, their drones are loud and shitty.
So that's just another thing Israel's going to have to worry about, because
No, it isn't. First of all, they've been worrying about it. It hasn't changed. It didn't change during the Trump administration. None of it did. They had the same drones available to them then. And by the way, you can tell by his energy and the way he's looking aside, whatever, like he knows this is horseshit.
they don't have enough missiles in their Iron Dome system to be shooting down waves and waves of drones.
Okay, see if I can find a never mind the fact that yeah, here you go. Here's this one. Here's this one. Okay. Not only does Israel specifically Skydo. This is a different one. Give me 1 second. Where is it? Okay. Number one. Not only, if I may, Mr. Chairman, not only are the Israelis, high times of Israel, hello. Not only are the Israelis selling anti-drone systems to Ukraine because they have plenty and their systems are very, very good. And again, the drone technology he's fucking talking about is in no way more advanced than it was fucking 6 years ago, much less recent, like in the last 2 years during the Biden administration. I don't know what the fuck he's like, whatever. Anyways, let's see. The company reported to the defense ministry that the sale was to Poland and appeared to be claiming not to be aware of the war. So they're selling it through Poland. That's the point. But they classified as advanced defense technology and therefore are not available for sale to Ukraine. However, the Israeli government has appeared uninterested in torpedoing the deal. There's no immediate comment from the defense. Israel deploys anti-drone systems along its border with Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and is considered a world leader in developing the technology, in which several Israeli firms are involved with Israel Aerospace Industries, Elbit, MC Tech, Spear, and Avnon Group. Israeli systems have been deployed by Azerbaijan in its conflict with Armenia, have also been sold to the U.S. and countries in Latin America, Africa, and Eastern Europe. We buy this tech from Israel, not the other way around. While Western countries have supplied considerable weaponry to Ukraine since Russia invaded, the defense ministry has opposed the sale of both offensive and advanced defense systems to Kiev on the grounds that it could harm Jerusalem's sensitive relations with Moscow. Which means that they would tell the Saudis or the Iranians or mainly the Iranians, to ramp up Palestinian activities. And they're trying to keep that cool. All right. Never mind what the fuck Netanyahu might be up to. Anyways. Prior to Russia's invasion, they also reportedly sank a plan by the U.S. to supply Ukraine with the Iron Dome, an Israeli anti-missile defense system developed with U.S. funding that has been sold to several other countries. While refraining from sending weapons, Israel has supplied Ukraine with basic defense equipment such as helmets, protective vests, along with humanitarian need like medicine and blankets. In July, Israel began providing direct financial support for civil aid organizations operating in the war-torn country. It also operated a field hospital in western Ukraine for 6 weeks before closing it in April. Jerusalem's refusal to send, by the way, that's because they've reopened hospitals and medical centers that had been bombed or blown up in the eastern part of Ukraine before. Like in the mid to the beginning of the war. Jerusalem's first refusal to send military aid was okay, blah, blah, blah. no, we're not running out of shit. Also, this is another one. This is their tracking thing. Another time. I love this. Israel launches new missile and drone defense system. This is a balloon. There you go. A ballon. And it's called Skydew. And it floats. It's basically a radar system that tracks drones in the area. The balloon's technology is based on an aerostat air platform developed by the American firm TCOM and is part of ongoing efforts to strengthen Israel's missile defense system. It will constitute a significant component in strengthening the protection of the country's borders, the ministry said in a statement. A similar unit is already deployed near Dimona in Israel's south. Over the past year, we have proven in a large number of successful experiments the ability of the entire multi-layered defense system to deal with advanced threat, including cruise missiles. Again, Mark Levin does not know what the fuck he's talking about. All right. And then, again, on top of that. And then, since then, here we go. Hold on one second. When was it? I'm trying to look up the date on this one. Yeah, here you go. This is March 15th. This is later. Scoop. Israel approves export licenses for anti-drone systems for Ukraine. Israel recently approved the export licenses for possible sale of anti-drone jamming systems that could help Ukraine counter Iranian drones used by Russia during the war. Now, work with me on this. Wrap your head around this, if you will, Mr. Mark Levin. Why would Ukraine be interested in anti-drone technology from Israel to stop Iranian drones, if indeed those Iranian drones had some magical way of getting through that particular country, mainly Israel's use of said technology? Why would that? Hey, we have a thing that doesn't work against them. You want some? What does that mean? How is that even? That's why he looks so defeated, and that's why this is stupid.
So it's going to be very ugly.
Oh, God.
In the meantime, they're going to be searching out, trying to figure out how to
stop mumbling. Do a show.
Destroy their nuclear weapons, or their almost nuclear weapons that are.
Those are the worst. The almost nuclear weapons. That is a level of technology I dare say I'm afraid to do, even consider. Jamie, bring up the thing about everything short of nuclear weapons is actually worse than nuclear weapons. Bring up that article that I put it up on the big screen. The article about how nukes are the least of our worries. That article Russell Brand wrote. With Dennis Kucinich. Jamie, put that up on there.
So deeply buried into mountains and underground now, it's going to take really enormous type of weaponry to do it. I suspect, I have no firsthand knowledge, that behind the scenes,
I suspect you have no firsthand knowledge as well. That's weird. Hey, we're on the same page.
They're doing their own Manhattan Project. By that, I don't mean nuclear weapons. They already have those. But
they're building their own Manhattan. They're making an Iranian version of the Woody Allen movie. It's like a mumbly, gripey bullshit.
Helping weapons that are real bunker busters, because they're going to have to do it on their own. Joe Biden is not their ally. We are, the American people, but Joe Biden is not.
What the fuck are you talking about? What? Honest to God, what help does Israel ask for that it is not getting from fucking anybody in the United States? I'm dead serious. What did we tell? No, sorry, Israel. No, you're gonna have to. You're on your own in this stuff. Why? Because Israel is a functioning country that, in many cases, builds its own shit, or builds it, by the way, like the Iron Dome, in conjunction with American contractors or American companies. Somehow, is Joe Biden not supposed to let them do that because that's going to provoke Iran, or?
And he's giving every indication to the Iranians that the Israelis, at least at the outbreak of war, will be on their own.
What? No, he's not. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, that's what he's saying. We're going to defend Taiwan against China, but if Israel gets attacked by Iran, fuck them. That is the Mark Levin shorthand of what Biden is saying to Israel in 2023. Have you ever seen Mark Levin more desperate for a toehold in a story in your life. Dude, try harder.
And the Biden administration hates Netanyahu the way they hate Trump, the way they hate DeSantis, the way they hate.
No. First of all, unfortunately, probably for a lot of us, they don't hate Trump and hate DeSantis. I think they're disgusted. I think Biden himself is disgusted by Trump and thinks DeSantis is a twerp, and probably thinks of him as a rude upstart.
Anybody who doesn't agree with him.
Well, then why is he so nice to Mitch McConnell? I'm dead serious. They hate anybody who disagrees with them. What? How did they get all these bipartisan bills passed, dum-dum?
Because these are very sick bastards.
Okay, thanks. Okay, well, that explains it. Obviously, maybe they just have a weird way of showing their hate by being friendly and sympathetic if the person is sick. Biden is as bad at hating as he is at being a communist.
Take a look at this.
All right, let's see it.
Israel could face Iran on its own Christian broadcasting network, which has a huge presence.
Jesus Christ. CBN? This is CBN's opinion of what? Oh, for fuck's sake. Hold on. Now we got to look this up. Please, run that back.
Because these are very sick bastards.
Yeah, I get it.
Take a look at this.
All
Israel
right.
could face Iran on its own Christian broadcasting network, which has a huge presence in Israel. We use them when I'm there to do radio. They are absolutely fantastic. Go.
The recent
Go, Mr. Producer.
deal between the United States and Iran to recover some U.S. citizens has been described as the highest ransom ever paid for American hostages.
Well, as long as you don't count Iran-Contra. So, as long as we're not factoring that part of it in. Also, we didn't give them that money. That's their money. So were we how about this? Since it's their money, and they arrested, arguably, didn't Iran pay a ransom of prisoners to get their money? Inquiring minds want to know.
That's because Iran will get $6 billion in
They already have the $1 billion. They'll just get access to
frozen assets.
Frozen. I'm sorry. What kind of assets? Asshat?
And prisoners in exchange for 5 American detainees. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Fantastic.
The U.S. State Department maintains...
Jesus Christ. This is a new segment we like to call Watching TV with an Old Fart, starring Mark Levin as the old fart. Ladies and gentlemen, also the man who really defines this phrase.
We have to slab it.
You know what I mean? I think when Trump said that, he meant Mark. Also, why is he doing this for the same reason I have to be on screen? Because he'll get busted for stealing content from CBN? Because he's really just playing it.
Those assets held in South Korea can only be used for humanitarian purposes.
Come on, are we sick and tired of this?
Come on, fucking, are we supposed to buy this shit from the CBN people? I mean, listen to the Christian Broadcasting Network being uncharitably judgmental and calling everyone a liar without any evidence therein, just like the Lord would do. Are we sick of the shit of sick?
They're giving them $6 billion and the...
No, they're not. They're letting them have access to $6 billion, but it has to be spent on humanitarian use.
assets can only be used for humanitarian purposes. Is this a joke by this sickening regime of ours?
We don't have a regime. We have an administration because we vote them in and they can be voted out. Ask Trump. He was voted out. He'll tell you.
That cost lives in Afghanistan, where the women are now treated like chattel?
Okay, first of all, asshat, I don't know if you know this, but the Iranians and the Taliban have exchanged gunfire over border disputes recently, and the belief system across there, the Iranian people, who we might want to keep alive, lean more towards our values ultimately than the mullahs that control them, which is very different from the tribal chiefs and the people in Afghanistan, which is not a functioning country.
And they're going around slaughtering our allies, and we still have about 1,000 American citizens here. Is this a joke?
Yes, it's a joke. What 1,000 American citizens are you talking about? Other than the ones who have dual citizenship and are there for the dope trade. What 1,000 Americans? Name one. Jimmy Squeer Sheeswees from Akron, Ohio. The fuck? Name one. If there's 1,000, name one. If there's 1,000, get one on the phone. If there's 1,000, have one as a guest. There's 1,000. You can't. I'm not asking you to find 999 of them. Find one. I can't get out. Where are you? Well, I'm over the border in Pakistan, but I can't get out of Afghanistan emotionally.
Go ahead.
Yeah, God, keep playing this. I can't deal with it.
And Iran will still be held accountable for human rights abuses, funding terrorism, and destabilizing the region.
How so? How are we holding them responsible? They have the most successful, right now, oil industry that they've ever had.
That's not at all true. Because before all this mullah bullshit, they were much more successful.
Selling oil barrel over barrel.
No, their output is up. Let's see. Hold on. Now, let me show you in 1 year, and I'll show you something. This is what Mark Levin is looking at. Oh my God! Look at the Iranian oil that's going out. And this is thousands of barrels a day. This is 268,000 barrels a day, something like that. Oh my God, it's ramping up. It's crazy. The Biden administration is letting them do whatever oh fuck. All right, well, it's actually evening out to about 2019 numbers, where it dropped down precipitously, and then into 2020. Okay, what if we go out to 10 years? Why was it? Why when Trump came in, it went up and leveled out, and then it only cadavered around 2020 in particular? Weird. 2019, it goes through this big drop over something. I guess the Iran deal. That would be breaking the Iran deal. This is Trump breaking the Iran deal. Here's the Iran deal. This is when it's going on. See this, I don't know if you know this. See this point right here? This is probably the highest one in the last 10 years. See this, where it is now? See where it is up here? See where it is now? I don't know if you know this, but this one is higher than this one. It's true. It's true. This is this point on the graph is higher. As a matter of fact, the highest amount of oil output that Iran has done in the last 10 years happened in the second, third, and fourth. The second and third years of the Trump administration. The Iranians did better during the Trump administration than at any time previous. And I think that's what scared him, so that's why they killed the Iran deal, and there we go. That's why this went off market. By the way, they still were selling under the table, but this was the overt, this crude oil production. Yeah. So this is where it is now. This is where it was when Donald Trump was president for a good portion of the time he was there, for years. So he was okay with it for a while until somebody, caught on. Anyways, it's an important little detail. That's fun. Sorry, you were saying something about barrel over barrel. I mean, honestly, nothing like 2017, 18, and 19.
To the Chinese.
Oh, to the Chinese. Specifically to the Chinese. I see. So, hold on. That's because we don't buy it from them, but hold on one second. Let's see. Well, one of the interesting things about that, and this is one of the I don't know if you know this, but the availability of Iran, that extra oil being in the market lowers what China will pay Russia for it. For example, abundant, cheap Iranian oil supply to cap Russian prices in China. August 27th, 2023. Fairly recent. Rising prices of popular Russian crude sold to China are poised to peak soon as more independent refiners are likely to switch to cheaper oil from Iran, which has ramped up exports to fresh 4.5-year highs in August. By the way, the 4.5-year highs are during the middle of the downturn in 2019 or whatever. In August, several trade sources said OPEC Plus supply cuts and strong demand from large Chinese refiners for Russian oil have pushed prices for ESPO blend-grade oil exported from the Pacific port of Kozmino to the narrowest discount since the Ukraine war started. Trade for the light sweet crude for October arrival commenced this week with the first deal done at a discount of about $1 a barrel to ICE Brent on a delivered ex-ship basis, DES, to China. According to two trading sources, up from discounts of about $1.80 a barrel from September deliveries, ESPO cargoes are offered at discounts as narrow as 50 cents a barrel prior to the deal. We're expecting ESPO prices to continue surging as seen in the past 2 months, but now we think the price hike could be capped as some refineries may turn to buy Iranian oil. That is right. The release of Iranian oil is being done to fuck Russia. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why this pitiful little man is upset. So, that now you know. Just saying.
And to whoever else needs it, who's our enemy? To the North Koreans.
No. No, the North Koreans get a good portion of what they need from other sources, from Russia specifically, because they're attached by land.
Under Trump, he put his foot down.
No, he didn't.
Stopped it.
No, he allowed them to sell more oil than at any other time and then cut them off. And then, by the way, because they're friends with Russia, more than likely would, in his second term, just turned it back on. And we would have had a Russia deal or an Iran deal so good in 2 weeks, meaning he just let them go back to where they were.
That economy was dying.
Yeah, that's not the fault of the people. The point is not to kill the economy. It's to stop the military aspect of things, not kill the actual people who actually, in large part, are on the side of the West culturally.
The people had organized to overthrow that regime. Then in comes Biden and reverses everything.
Huh? Wait. Run that by me again?
He stopped it.
Okay.
That economy was dying.
That economy was dying. Okay.
The people had organized to overthrow that regime. Then in comes Biden and reverses everything.
Oh, I guess the point he's trying to make is that the economy was dying, and that's what drove all these effectively starving people to turn on the mullahs. And so sanctioning them, stopping their ability to sell any oil whatsoever, was getting the people into a position where they were just so desperate that they were going to attack their own government and blah, blah, blah. Even though the uprising had nothing to do with, for the most part, economic factors, because they've been under those kind of sanctions for years. It had to do with headscarves.
Or I should say his Politburo. Go ahead.
Nothing about our overall approach to Iran has changed. We continue to pursue a strategy.
I love how Mark just... I don't believe it.
Of deterrence, of pressure, and diplomacy. We remain
Biden is being impossible.
Committed to ensuring that Iran never acquires a nuclear
These
weapon.
sanctimonious Ivy League bastards are
What the fuck do you think you are? They're sanctimonious. Good
about
Lord.
as much as you can take.
Oh, I can't take it anymore. He's exhausted. Look, he's finally reached the point where, progressives allegedly were when Trump got elected. I can't take it anymore.
They really are. The way he talks and so on.
Oh, the words and the saying and the being like proper in how he speaks and these. It's just for God darn. Who is it, Mr. Singlenden?
He was a deputy secretary under Obama. And they bring in all these radical kooks that hate Israel.
All right. Citation needed. Why do they hate Israel? Why was that?
Go ahead.
It's just, okay, there is no reasoning behind it. It's just Blinken's a radical kook who hates Israel. Just hates Israel. Hates him.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a statement focused on the country's main concern, Iran's nuclear ambition.
You don't say. Wow, I don't feel like I've heard that sentence for fucking decades. And then Obama actually had a deal where they were not pursuing nuclear weapons, and then Trump got rid of it just so that they would, I guess, crash their economy or something.
Israel's position is known, according to which arrangements that do not dismantle Iran's nuclear infrastructure will not stop its nuclear program and will only provide it with funds that will go to terrorist elements sponsored by Iran. Certain international experts don't blame Israel for its stand on the Iranian deal.
They're one of the lead funders of terrorism around the world, and they're a major opponent to key allies of ours like Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Right. We know this. They aren't friends, and obviously they're big enough and they have enough power and enough financial means, even within their own system, at least in their, and a control over a certain swath of their own people, to exercise violence out in the world. So dealing with them is not dealing with them is not an option.
U.S. Senator and Ambassador Sam Brownback tells CBN News he would understand any Israeli anger over the U.S. allowing billions of dollars to go to its erstwhile enemy.
If I'm Israel, if I'm Saudi Arabia, I'm livid about this.
How are we supposed to feel about Khashoggi being thrown in a wood chipper, or them using our military stuff that was supposed to protect their refineries to attack people in the north of Yemen, for example? When are we allowed to be livid? I'm just asking.
And Israel's trying to limit Iran from getting a nuclear reactor and
so are we.
A nuclear.
Yeah, and then Trump killed the deal. It was working.
Weapon for obvious reasons, and this just helps fund those efforts.
Richard Goldberg.
Oh, okay, look. If every possible humanitarian help given to a country can fund that effort because full bellies allow them to make weapons, the generalized problem is not the flow of funds. It's the relation between the countries or the leadership of said country. But at some point, I'm guessing that starving a country ultimately, and sanctions do have value, and I think they targeted especially are very important. But overall, just like trying to choke off stuff, like people not allowing people to bring in shipments of medical supplies into the Palestinian territories, even with the UN guiding them in, which Israel has done a couple of times, like that's bad. That doesn't actually help the peace process. That never helps to tamp down violence. And if the Iranian people have the belief that the U.S. eventually wants to normalize relations so that one day they could, change their government and we'd be right there ready to join with them as a quasi-European style democracy, which they absolutely have the potential for being. It's better if we're not just starving them for spite.
Of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies says the U.S. has clearly agreed to provide sanctions relief in return for almost nothing.
That's 6 Americans, by the way. Almost nothing. What constitutes almost nothing? What is it? Also, it's much easier if you do need to bomb someplace if you don't have your own citizens in that city. So I'm just saying, if you were going to do something in the future, if you go, we're going to hit them, or we're going to let Israel hit them. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it certainly would be a precursor, is get your people out and then look the other way as Israel does it. And Israel very well might know this. I don't know why not. Anybody with a strategic mind can see that as a possibility. But again, this gives opponents of the administration a chance to, like, oh my God, is he falling asleep? Look at this truck. Looks like Looks like a bread ad.
Is not required to get rid of its enriched uranium stockpile. Iran is not required to dismantle a single centrifuge, shut down a single nuclear site.
That you allege they have, but they don't.
To the contrary, they continue to build up their nuclear capabilities under this arrangement, and they are building a secret underground site.
They're just having a great time. It's just a party.
Goldberg says that site would likely withstand a military strike and eventually help complete its nuclear weapons ambition.
The Israelis
Yes, eventually, and might.
are now faced with some pretty tough decisions of
Yes, I got news for you, asshole. $6 billion is not going to change a fucking thing. You have any idea how much it costs to create and maintain a nuclear weapon system? You think $6 billion is going to have any impact on that shit? Any. If all of it went there.
actions that they're going to need to take on their own without U.S. support, potentially
By the way, that's an airplane, not a nuke, but sure.
have to destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities, especially that underground site that, if it's completed, would be game over from an attempt to stop an Iranian nuclear weapon.
As the world's leading state sponsor of
If and when and if and when and if and when, which is basically the same thing we've been hearing forever. And again, $6 billion is a drop in the fucking bucket. Will have zero impact on this. And also, that money is in South Korea. It's released to them. But we're allowed, as part of the deal, we dictate how it can be spent. That money can be just throughputed in South Korea's banking system and end up buying whatever they want, but it doesn't leave that place. You want, grain, foodstuffs, milk, whatever the fuck, medicine, anything. The South Koreans will arrange for the purchase using those funds.
terrorism, Iran continues to focus on attacking Israel on all sides through Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, and Hamas.
Not to mention all the threats that Iran poses to the state of Israel, the existence to Israel, their terror proxies that attack Israel every day.
I suspect what they're going to have to do is take one.
Yeah, it is, whatever. I'm so sad. Oh God. I suspect what's going to have to happen. It's the end of the world. I try to get excited about it, but it's... Oh God. Well, I suspect what they're going to try to do is... Mr. Producer?
Other nukes and sort of modify it to a different type of a nuke.
Thanks. Great. A different kind of a nuke. Sort of an aquatic nuke with a unicorn. I call it a unicorn nuke. It's a swimming horsey with a spinal. They're going to take the kind of nukes they had before, which weren't nukes, but they're going to take them, and they eventually can build a nuke. They're going to turn that nuke into some kind of a nuke, and then sneak that nuke into a nuke basket, and play a game of Duke Nukem, and nuke it in the microwave, and see what happens. Fucking hell. This is just blather.
It doesn't obliterate an entire city and an entire region.
Okay. Yeah, so we call it an unnuke. It's like the nude bomb, only in reverse. What? It's a nuke that doesn't nuke anything. Thanks, great. Okay, so is this just your way of, like, eventually when a regular bomb goes off someplace, you could just claim it was a nuke, but just a new kind of nuke that contains no nuke? God damn, this is stupid.
And that can be done. We have those types of nukes too. As maybe the only way to reach that site that's buried so deeply underground. We have weapons in the United States that potentially could take that out, but the Biden administration won't give them to Israel.
Okay, first of all, no. All right. Our like nuclear bunker buster technology, like the Moab, or any of that shit, we keep that for ourselves. That shit we don't sell to anybody. Secondly, the Israelis already have that shit. They have nukes themselves. What are you talking about? Like, this is just lame. Like, he's not, I don't know. I gotta say, I don't even think he's convinced. This is ass. This is just ridiculous. 20% less nuke. Yeah.
They won't even allow Israel to buy them.
No, they can't even buy them, even on the open market. They'll sell them to Iran. They'll sell them to Kim Jong Un. They'll sell them to Xi Jinping. They'll sell them to Vladimir Putin. They'll sell them to, you know, Antifa. But they hate Israel so much they won't sell it.
So they may have to build these tactical nukes.
What do you mean may have to? They have tactical nukes. The fuck are you talking about? Tactical nukes are the easier ones to make. What are you talking about? This is... So let me see if I can get this right, asshat. So, Iran has nukes. They have ballistic missiles. They have intercontinental ballistic missiles. They won't need them because they're effectively attached to the same continent. But they've got missiles that will travel far enough to get there. All right. But you seem to think they don't have the ability to take the highest level of nuke that you can have and downgrade it to the dirty bomb kind of cave rocket nuke that you're fucking... I don't understand. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying. I don't understand. I don't understand what the... It's just... Bullshit! Right. It's just bullshit. There is no there. Biden blocked the rub two sticks together tech. Yeah. Biden won't even send them flint and steel, Mr. Producer.
I don't know.
Yes, we know. That's abundantly clear. You don't know your ass from your elbow. This is fucking absurd. 8 minutes of the most, like, insane... I don't know how you manage to make insane drudgery. Like, this is so... Like, he's not committed to this. It's just garbage. And yet at the same time, he's saying the most outlandish pro-nuke bullshit. Ugh. Yeah, he's just rambling through this segment. Watch more at Blazed. No, there is no more. There's not any more in it. I could watch this again and there wouldn't be more.
But I think everything's on the table.
What? Not everything's on the table. Yeah, your gut's on the table. What the fuck? That's just ridiculous. How the hell? I gotta say, I don't even know. That was just like, it's like he is a deflated balloon.